Hello there, my friends, and welcome to the latest episode of The Daily Shortcut, where I'm aiming today to share knowledge to help you improve yourself while you're on the path of success in any area of your life or business. I wanted to talk about something that I don't believe is very understood by very many people or discussed enough in the home business industry or in online marketing or in training courses in general. And that's the real link between your mind and your body that you need to maintain in order to create the success that you want to create in your life. I personally don't think that you have to be healthy at all to become financially successful. I've met a lot of tired, old-looking, worn-out people with lots of money. In fact, I've been a worn-out person with lots of money. That's not what this video is going to be about today. This video is really about presenting you with a choice on how you want to live your life, and to talk about some deep, dark secrets of some of the top producers behind the scenes of their lives. Not mentioning any names, of course, and also not blaming anyone for anything. One of the things that you realize when you're in the foundational process of building your business is that it takes a lot of mental and a lot of physical energy to accomplish great things, especially if you're starting out in a way that budget is tight to build your organization, to sell, to get leads online. Or if you're burning the candle at both ends and you're working all day and night between a job and between your part-time business. And a lot of you are in that situation, aren't you? Usually what happens is, in order to sustain the energy to continue to accomplish goals and tasks late into the evening, you start to become a little bit of a caffeine fiend, upping the regular 1 coffee a day to 5 or 10. And fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with doing that for a short bout. This isn't a philosophical discussion today of right versus wrong. It's just pointing out some observations I've noticed in a lot of people on their journey to success. Now what happens is this: the caffeine, this is an example, it will lower the absorption of a chemical called adenosine, which will still circulate in your blood. Now adenosine is a feel-good relaxation neurotransmitter produced by the brain. And the more of it you block from being used in your nervous system to keep you awake late in the night, and the more often you do that, the more adenosine your body begins to produce, and the more stimulation you need to keep yourself going. Now, I don't think this happens as much if someone is just kind of being lazy with their lives, but I notice a lot of people who are entrepreneurs and they're progressing down a path over a period of time where they need greater and greater stimulation to keep themselves going. And they end up developing drug dependencies on some really, really nasty stuff because they don't learn to balance their body and mind. One story I'll tell you is when I was in one of my previous companies. Let's say there was a rep, and let's say his name was Richard, because that's not actually his name. This guy had to go to drug therapy multiple times to get over a cocaine addiction that he developed in Wall Street, and that addiction had plagued him for nearly a decade, and he started doing it because he needed the energy that it was creating to create the success that he wanted. Now, if you looked at Richard, he was always jittery. He had huge dark circles all the time under his eyes. He was smoking at every meeting, every break, and he otherwise looked like his life was really out of whack all the time. As a testament to the power of change in therapy, Richard's now been drug-free for more than 3 years, and as of the release of this Daily Shortcut episode, is no longer bound by his crippling addiction because he got help. So give him a hand. But this is worth exploring for a variety of reasons. Like I said earlier, without mentioning any names, because we all have our own issues we struggle with, myself included, this is actually a really common phenomenon, and more than you'd think, because it takes so much mental and physical energy to create success, and people don't know how to manage themselves. And the question that I've got to ask you is this: why does it seem to happen to a lot of successful people, and what can you do to balance your life now so you can have more power and more energy in the future? I believe that your ability to reason, your ability to think quickly, and make executive decisions is foundational in your ability to sell, attract customers, and produce in any business or profession. Sometimes, in order to compensate for poor diet, lack of exercise, lack of sunlight, lack of balance, lack of emotional balance, in order to reach that sustained clarity, people have to overcompensate by using excessive stimulation and drugs over a period of time. And that could be caffeine, cocaine, theobromine and chocolate, just anything they do to keep themselves going. I know myself, I've used a lot of caffeine over the years. You can see it in my eyes, right? But a better solution, at least for happiness and balance, is to actually live into such a way that allows your body to produce most of that energy. If you do need to compensate, you only do a little, right? But you produce most of that energy or all that energy and all of that well-being as naturally as you possibly can in a way that you can sustain. And realize that certain lines have to be drawn, and you might have to get educated a bit on nutrition and exercise if you want sustained joy and prosperity in your life. Actually, a few days ago, I did a Daily Shortcut episode where I was talking about how to balance your energy when you work all day. If you actually review that episode, if you use those strategies can work in place of excessive stimulation. Here's a few examples of this, though, that could help you form your own daily routines. Number one example, I've learned that nearly all people who don't have massive addictive problems while maintaining their success and maintaining massive production over a long period of time have clear-cut, structured routines that they use to start their day and end their day. A great example of this is one of my good friends, Ray Higdon. A lot of you guys know Ray. He's come into one of our coaching products in the last little bit. When I knew Ray, I used to work with him, and he was one of my uplines in a company where we sold gold and silver coins. Ray actually wakes up at what I would call the butt crack of dawn, and the reason I say that is because when he wakes up, my butt crack is facing the ceiling, lying in my bed. That's like 4 a.m., right? Now, I'm not kidding. He wakes up every day at 4 a.m., and he works out like a horse for the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day, followed by reading, meditation, and his other morning rituals. Most people would blow this off as a little obsessive, but if you look at Ray, his health is excellent, and he stays so consistent building his business, and he has so much energy and focus to get things done because he does that he's been able to create a tremendous amount of success in his life over the years. Number two, with myself, every day I start the day with about an hour of exercise, followed by about an hour or two of intense mental concentration, like reading, meditation, visualization, memory exercise, something that absorbs my entire mind and makes me maintain my focus. I always do this every day unless something dramatic happens, and when I do it, my mental abilities are so enhanced throughout the day that it completely changes my ability to produce. I actually get more done in less time removing that hour than I would if I put that hour there and was working instead of doing those exercises with my mind. Most people wouldn't tie mental exertion early in the day with the ability to sell and recruit as an example. But if you think more clearly, visualize better, focus more intently, remember better, you just happen to choose the right words at the right time with a massive statistically increased efficiency and accuracy. Also, before I go to bed, I spend another 30 minutes or so in intense mental exertion. I do this actually every single day, whether it's memory exercises, reading, thinking, writing. All of those things exercise the frontal lobes and your ability to focus and concentrate, and will completely change the results that you get. There's a good friend of mine, Jonathan Budd, and I just learned this a little while ago, a few years back actually, from a video series that he put out about probably about 2-3 years ago. And he said in there that he starts the day and he ends the day with meditation and yoga. Now obviously it enhances his ability to succeed. He's done tens of millions of dollars in sales online over the period of the last 5 or 10 years. I think that a majority of his abilities to create prosperity literally come from the enhanced mental abilities that accompany daily disciplined activity, nutrition, visualization, and meditation. Let's look at a couple of scientific perspectives on the connection between exercise, drugs, and sustained mental concentration on your ability to succeed. Keep in mind, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not going to quote any studies here, but if you look this up, you'll find a huge amount of accompanying evidence for everything that I'm saying here. If you look at a drug that a lot of people use on Wall Street, cocaine, essentially what it does is it blocks the reuptake of a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Now, just for a second, I want to explain what reuptake is, okay? Because a lot of people, you hear that, like for example, antidepressants are usually selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and what that means is it basically that chemical binds with the same brain cell that serotonin binds with, and it stops serotonin from binding with that cell, which means it floats more freely in your blood, and more serotonin will make people more happy. Well, dopamine, same thing. It's primarily responsible for sustained focused attention. People with ADD, for example, like myself, tend to have less dopamine circulating around in their blood naturally. And so if you get somebody who has ADHD, they're going to exert themselves and seek excessive stimulation naturally. And that's the kind of thing that can actually form dependencies more easily than people who have more naturally balanced brain chemistry. But a person like myself can simply enhance their dopamine supply by doing a lot more exercise and doing things that create sustained focused attention for a long period of time. So dopamine, which is primarily responsible for enhanced mental concentration, focus, and increased physical abilities, an increased supply is obviously going to increase your ability to succeed. When dopamine reuptake is blocked, it makes it so more dopamine is circulating in your blood, brain, and your body, and therefore your concentration, your mental quickness, your strength, and your endurance is all going to be temporarily enhanced by the drug that you're taking that's blocking its reuptake. Of course, the problem with that is that anything involving dopamine is extremely dependence forming and causes a rampage of physical problems with sustained use if it's taken abusively. This is the same primary action that Ritalin and Adderall, which are ADHD drugs, have on the brain and body. But in the street, somebody will use, for example, methamphetamines, which is like 500 times the amount of methamphetamine that somebody will give to somebody who has a diagnosed case of ADHD. And so that kind of chemicals entering your blood is really dangerous to your heart, to your mind, to your blood vessels, to all sorts of physical systems. Although they're much safer if you take under extreme medical supervision. You can see your doctor if you've got a disorder or something. Fascinating enough, though, when you engage in moderate to intense exercise, a similar effect on the brain neurotransmitters will happen. Although it's definitely not as pronounced as doing something like taking cocaine or doing something like taking methamphetamines, it's a natural release that actually will be more productive, that could sustain literally your entire life. So your brain will produce more dopamine naturally in the mind and body. See, exercise has been proven to increase dopamine, improve serotonin levels, the same thing that Prozac does. Actually, there's a bunch of studies on Prozac where Prozac is actually not any more effective, for example, than walking along the beach for 20 minutes a day in the sunlight, hanging out with somebody that you love, having a deep conversation. There's all sorts of things that can increase serotonin and dopamine levels naturally. But also, you'll release a massive amount of feel-good endorphins into your nervous system if you exercise your body and mind every single day. It's extremely important to your productivity, to your success, but more importantly, to your happiness. The benefit to a daily exercise is this, that it keeps working, and it'll work forever, and your body will actually form a neurochemical addiction to exercise after 6 months to 2 years of daily exercise routine. And when you're addicted to it, you'll just want to do it naturally. And if you exercise every day naturally as a part of a habit, it's going to change your entire life. One of the things that I learned recently is that you start the day by eating a bit of protein within about 30 minutes of waking up, followed immediately by exercising after that. That effect on neurotransmitters is even more pronounced. It literally changes your entire day, and it changes your ability to pay attention, to think right, to think with clarity, to focus on organized tasks. And aside from exercise, let's look at the value of some kind of intense mental exertion, whether it's meditation, reading, memorizing something, or doing some kind of visualization. There's anecdotal evidence that has suggested that your actual IQ, your fluid intelligence level, can be dramatically enhanced over time with daily visualization, brain games, meditation, memorization, intense focused mental activity. Although that I don't believe that you need a high IQ to create dramatic levels of success, especially in our space, I do think that you need to have an ability to maintain sustained focus on a goal for a long period of time, which can be enhanced by a daily routine of visualization. I first noticed the relationship between visualization ability and success a few years back when I was working in a job for Discover Card that I absolutely despised. I despised the job, but I still learned some cool things. I kind of sucked at the job because I hated it, and I just enrolled in an intense memory training program that involved the craziest visualization exercises that were spatial visualization I'd ever done in my life. It felt like an hour of doing this was more work than I did with my brain in a normal week. But after about 3 weeks, my ability to see images in my mind enhanced so drastically that my internal representations for everything I was thinking about had almost as much clarity as things I actually saw. Now, that's not joking. My ability to visualize went from very fuzzy, out of detail images to giant three-dimensional, perfectly clear images I could hold in my imagination for unlimited periods of time. But as a side effect to that, I started having the highest conversion rates from sales phone calls in that office that had over 2,000 people, and it didn't make any sense to anybody because I was able to hold entire conversations in my mind. The visualization, even unrelated to my job, dramatically enhanced my ability to sell, focus, organize myself, and a host of other aspects of things I was doing in my life simultaneously improved just from that one thing I was doing every day in the morning. One of the neatest things about exercise as it relates to business is that for some reason stuff doesn't bother you as much when you work out. Now, I actually know why, but I don't know exactly, is it the endorphins, is it the increased dopamine, what is it? But it's a bit easier to take it when people tell you stupid bullshit and you just kind of stay even throughout the day. In fact, one of the things that I found when I was doing a lot of intense memory training is that when people would just do crazy stuff, I just stayed totally calm because my neurotransmitter levels in my brain stayed even no matter what was going on. One of the things I read a while back is that Einstein, probably the greatest physicist of all time, visualized himself in a light beam for more than 10 years thinking about what would happen if he pulled out a mirror and what would happen if this happened or that, trying to imagine how light worked. Now, obviously, he was doing that when he wasn't doing something else, right? You can't sit there and visualize all day. That was before he came up with the special theory of relativity. And I've wondered for maybe the last 10 years how much doing that enhanced his intellectual ability by the very act of that intense obsessive visualization based on my own experiences that I've had, and some of the weirder research studies that I've done with enhancing fluid intelligence in test groups of people doing visualization exercises. Aside from just raw intelligence, clarity of mind, robust health, and an animalistic focus on your goals, living mentally and physically disciplined life will make you happier. You'll have a better social life that's more rewarding. You'll have more success in your business, and you'll be able to manage your resources better because you're more focused. So the way that I see it, you essentially have a choice when creating the success that you want in your life. Do it in a way that's more natural and more sustained, or do it in a way that's more unnatural that throws your body out of whack and suffer the consequences by not deciding to balance yourself. This episode might not make so much sense to some of you, but if you've ever been around success circles, you know what I'm talking about, and you know how weird some of the people get after a while. We're an extreme group of people that tend to have lower amounts of dopamine naturally in our blood, that seek excessive stimulation naturally, and the lack of a routine will produce weird behaviors. And along with the happiness and prosperity experienced by a lot of us, there is a dark side that can come up where a lot of people will experience addictions, abuse, health problems, and other things that spring from a lack of balance. So a couple of suggestions that I have for you is this. Number 1, eat better. Number 2, exercise more. Number 3, breathe deeper. Number 5, or wherever I'm at, visualize and surround yourself with the people that you want, and your whole life is going to improve dramatically when you do that. It can happen right now, and everything can change for you when you put your name and email into the form below and claim your 3 daily shortcut bonuses that I'm going to give you. Now, if you just scroll down on this page, there's a couple things I want you to do. Number 1 thing I want you to do is leave a detailed comment on what you learned. Now, I cover a lot, and I didn't really cover how to do it. If you watch that other accompanying episode where I talked about how to balance your energy if you're working all day, how to maintain your energy if you're working all day, I go over some of the strategies that you can use to maintain neurotransmitter balance throughout the day. And this is actually some of the science behind that. Although I wasn't quoting studies, you can look all of this up and you're going to find it's accurate. So what I want you to do, though, is go down. I want you to write in a comment with what you learned today. I want you to write in a decision that you made as a result of this episode. It doesn't matter if you're in our community or not. Feel free to comment. You can win. We'll give you a book if you write the best comment of the day. And also, if you put in your contact information and click the button that says Give Me the Daily Shortcut, we're going to give you 3 bonuses to help you implement this information in your life and live a more balanced life. And here's what they are. Number 1, I'm going to give you a transcription of this entire episode, because watching while you listen and then reading and writing, which we have a workbook accompanying, are going to dramatically accelerate your learnings from every episode. Also, I'm going to give you an audio download that you can download to your iPhone, your smartphone, your Android. You can listen to it in your car 2-3 times throughout the day, cement these concepts inside, and take the learnings to a deeper unconscious level. But the last thing I'm going to give you, and that's bonus number 3, is actually the most important. You can actually learn and grow with us and make money online, and we're going to help you do it in a new way. We're going to help you do it in a sustainable way through the Total Shortcut system. So just go to the next page, click on that button right now. We'll send you these episodes every single day. I'd encourage you to go through these every day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, because it will transform you over a period of time. As we're learning new things, you get them. This is millions and millions and millions of dollars of knowledge and research and learning for free, better than you could pay for in a course. So right now, scroll down, leave a thoughtful comment, put your information in, click Give Me the Total Shortcut. I will see you on that page, and these are my gifts to you today for being an awesome human being. And remember, I love you.